Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time to do another Siege comparison. This time around we're going to take a look at Prowl. As you can see, there are quite a few similarities between the two, but also noticeably a few differences. Like chief amongst them is that the original Prowl had a pair of missile launchers mounted next to his head, whereas the new one does not have those. But he does, however, strangely enough, have a couple of holes there that I would imagine a third-party developer will likely build some launchers to go in there for those fans that are a little more picky and want that on their Prowl. Of course, also gone are the police badge symbols, which is kind of a nice thing to have gone. Those were more those meant more in the Japanese market where the toy was originally released, more than it did to many of the overseas markets. But we'll also notice that the chevrons have changed. On the original Prowl, he had 3 rank chevrons on there, on his arm, whereas the Siege version only has 2. But still, it is nice to see that a lot of the other design elements of the original toy do translate over very well to the new version. So that is a very nicely done homage to the original toy. Because, I mean, we even have the windows down here as the legs. The back wheels do form part of the feet. Front wheels are the shoulders, and of course the doors hang open along the back. So all in all, this is a very good likeness of Prowl. Supposedly later on this year, Prowl will be recolored and resold as Blackout. No, not Blackout, Barricade. He'll be sold as Barricade. Obviously, they're taking more homage for Barricade out of the Michael Bay movies. As in the G1 line, Barricade was a Micromaster in charge of the racetrack patrol. Whereas famously in the original Transformers live-action movie, Barricade was the police car. At any rate, to also further compare them, we'll take a look at articulation. The original Prowl, you could shift his arm out at the shoulder like so, but mine's kind of loose on that, and you could bend his arm at the elbow, and that was more or less about all you could do with him. On the new Prowl here, we've got considerably more. We can turn his head from side to side very easily. And he can also look down. He didn't really look up very well. He can raise his arm at the shoulder about so far. If he'll just move it correctly, that's the real trick with him. And you can rotate his arm at the shoulder all the way, if you get the car door out of the way. He can bend his arm at the elbow about 90 degrees, and he can swivel at the bicep. And he does give the impression that his hands can rotate at the wrist. Yep, there it goes. There it goes. It does. Mine's just a little stiff. As he did demonstrate for us earlier, you can turn him here at the hips, like so. You can spread his legs apart into a full splits. You can raise his leg up at the hip, roughly a little more than 90 degrees, and you can bend his leg at the knee considerably further than 90 degrees. So you get a lot of range of motion here out of Prowl. Now, if there's anything really negative to discuss about Prowl, at least this new version, it has to be how they label his weapon. Because his weapon, while it is listed as a W45 acid pellet strike blaster, which was something like what his original gun was known to be, when we put the light bar on it, it's referred to as being in axe mode, which more or less means he should be carrying it like so and swinging it like an axe. But you can't do that with a gun. Guns are not meant to be swung that way. So it's kind of, if you want him to have an axe, use the one Battle Master that's available, and he'll be better off with that. Pterodactyl would be a better choice if you want to use an axe with Prowl. At any rate, let's transform them into their car modes and take a look at how well they are compared to each other. And of course, now in the police car mode, we can see that both of them are radically different from each other. But of course, the original Prowl was based on a Datsun Fairlady modified to be a police car, whereas the new one is a Cybertronian version of a police car. But all in all, a lot of the design aspects of the new Prowl definitely are taken from the original, especially when you look here at the front of the car. Clearly, some of the design elements were carried over from the Datsun to the Cybertronian version. So, all in all, it still does pay a nice homage to the original. But again, one other thing that I want to point out about this new version of Prowl is that he doesn't have any other plugins for Battle Masters. If you were to want to use a Battle Master, you would have to remove the light bar and plug it in there. So that's kind of a nitpicky thing. In reality, it's more nitpicky than anything. But seeing as a fair amount of the others can hold a lot of the Battle Masters and Micro Masters as weaponry, I guess having one on the team that doesn't need to carry any is probably okay. But kind of depends on what you want to do with them, folks. At any rate, how well do they roll? Well, the original one is on rubber tires. How well does it go? It goes pretty good. He does tend to drag the arms out under the front of the car, but that's, again, from age and play wear. This new one, it rolls okay. It's not perfect, because I notice I'm getting the back wheels to roll more than I am getting the front wheels to roll. So I think there's part of the problem. They are kind of stiff. So whereas the back wheels turn a little more freely than the front wheels do. So I'd say that's a design problem. But if you're getting this for your children, they certainly shouldn't have any problems playing with it. And hopefully it'll lead them to having a lot of fun with it. But all in all, I think this one's kind of a middle tier toy, to be honest with you. I mean, granted, I do love the homages it pays to the original. Don't get me wrong on that. But I think the design could have used a little more work. But that's just my opinion, folks. If you have a different opinion, please feel free to share it with me down in the comments section. That's what it's there for. At any rate, that concludes my comparison review of Prowl, Generation 1 versus Siege. I do hope all of you out there enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please do leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well, share this video with your friends. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button down below and join up in our ranks. Also, ring the notification bell so you'll be notified when I load future content. And share your thoughts of Prowl down in the comments section. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch y'all later.